Alright, welcome to this next section. It is time now to talk about authentication. It is pretty rare that you want to build an API that exposes all its data to the public. Instead, normally you want to do something with user accounts, and users can log in, and with an API token they can fetch data that they have access to. And to do this, we first need to prepare a bit. So what we'll do is add a creator to a task, and eventually users can only have access to the tasks that they created. Now, since this app is in development and not running in production, I'm gonna cheat a bit and change an already existing migration. So in the migration, I'll add a foreign ID and I will call this creator ID. Now there is a convention in Laravel to actually use user ID. And if you do it like this, then Laravel understands that this is a reference to the users table. But actually I like this a bit better because it provides some more context on what this foreign key actually means. You could, for example, think that later we want to have an assignee, which is also a user for a task, and then you would have two user IDs, and this one is a bit more descriptive. Now I do want to add a foreign key constraint on the users table, and by doing this we cannot add unexisting user IDs to this table, so it provides some extra security. Now let's run the migrations from a fresh state. So this drops all the tables and runs the migrations from the start. And this also means that all our dummy data is gone now. Now, besides the migration, we need to make some changes to the task model and set up this relationship. So we'll add a function creator and add a type hint of belongs to, because a task belongs to a user. And let's return this relationship. It is a reference to the users table. So let's add the class here. And since we didn't use user ID, but used our own name for this foreign key, we'll need to add it in here of creator ID. And let's for now also remove this hidden updated at, because it doesn't serve much of a purpose anymore. Next, we need to be in our user model and set up the relationship here as well. So add a method for tasks, which returns a has many relationship. And reference the task class in here. And here we also need to mention that creator ID, because we didn't call it user ID. And finally, we need to be in our task factory, because we now added a required field creator ID, otherwise our factory doesn't work anymore. And here we need to mention the user factory. Let's now hop into our Tinker shell and let's create a task for a user. So set up this user using the factory, and for this user, via the relationship that we just created, we can create new tasks, and tasks require a title, and the title of this task will be buy hamburgers. Alright, we also now have a task, and as you see here, this task is now associated to the user because the creator ID is 1 and the ID of the user that we created is also 1. Now, if we go to Postman and resend the request, now we also see that the creator ID is part of the response that we're getting back from the API. And with this, we should be ready to set up authentication in the next video. I hope to see you there.